A man named Javier was walking toward the entrance of a hospital somewhere in Argentina when he suddenly heard a knock behind him. He immediately turned around, expecting to see someone approaching, but the area was completely empty. That's when his attention shifted to something far more unsettling coming from inside his parked car. Something about it made his stomach drop. He raised his phone and began recording. Watch closely.
Estamos en este momento en el microhospital, escuchamos un golpe y nos dimos vuelta porque dijimos, bueno, ¿quién está entrando? Cuestión de que no hay nadie atrás nuestro. Y miramos dentro del auto y dijimos, oh, pues si el auto... ¿Qué mierda es? Lo peor de todo es que no queremos salir. Un miedo, la puta madre. Lo peor de todo es que se mueve adentro del auto y no hay nadie. O sea, ahora vamos a ir a controlar el auto. Pero parece como si fuese un reflejo. La puta madre. No, huevón. Ya, salimos rápido para que vean que no es mentira. Mamá, la piel de gallina, hermano. Piel de gallina. Cagazo. Nadie. Nadie. Un montón. Es un montón. Mierda. Y encima nos mira la puta que te parió. No, chabón. No. Desapareció. La concha.
What appears to be a disturbing pale gray face is visible sitting in the driver's seat of the car, staring forward as Javier looks on in shock. The shape seems to shift slightly, as if it's moving on its own. But when Javier approaches and opens the car doors to check, there's no one inside and no one anywhere nearby. Some viewers suggested it could be a reflection caused by the angle of the windshield. However, looking closer, only the ceiling above is reflected, which doesn't explain the face captured inside the vehicle. Given the late hour in the hospital setting, many now wonder if this was a moment of genuine paranormal activity. Was it a ghostly presence tied to the location, or something else entirely? I'll let you decide.
Desapareció.
Brandon uploaded a video recorded by his father, explaining that ever since he experimented with a Ouija board as a teenager, a dark presence has never left him alone. In the footage, his dad's breathing sounds heavy and uneven, filled with clear panic. From somewhere just beyond the bedroom walls, slow dragging noises can be heard, scraping softly as if something unseen is moving closer. The atmosphere feels thick with paranormal activity, as though an old haunting has resurfaced after years of lying dormant.
Contexto: mi papá de joven jugó a la Ouija y desde entonces se siente perseguido. No terminó el juego como se debe. Ya antes le habían ocurrido sucesos paranormales, pero nunca había grabado.
¡Ay, cabrón! No manches. ¿Qué era eso? No. Ay, no manches. No.
He slides his feet into his slippers, whispering nervously under his breath as he carefully approaches the bedroom door. When he opens it, the hallway beyond appears disturbingly wrong. The space looks dim, warped, and unnaturally stretched, creating an unsettling, almost supernatural distortion. As he steps forward and peers into the darkness, he suddenly gasps. For a split second, a pale face peeks out from behind the corner. The camera jolts violently as he rushes toward it. But nothing is there when he arrives. Trying to calm himself, he turns around to retreat. But before he can cross the threshold, the door slams shut directly in front of him. The video ends abruptly. Later, Brandon said his father was badly shaken but physically unharmed, insisting the demonic presence had finally revealed itself. Since that night, his dad refuses to sleep in that room, claiming the air feels heavier, as if a ghost is still waiting for him to open that door again. Pete was inside the house getting ready to turn in for the night when he noticed his wife standing out in the yard, motionless, staring up at the glowing full moon. Curious, he grabbed his phone and stepped outside to join her. For a brief moment, they simply stood together, quietly admiring how peaceful and clear the night sky looked. The calm shattered when a strange siren-like sound echoed from somewhere far out across the open fields. Both of them froze, listening closely, trying to understand what kind of creature or source could produce a noise that unnatural.
You getting some fresh air?
Yeah. Look at the moon.
Oh, yeah.
Can you see it?
Yeah, you kind of can come up.
It's gonna be like a full moon soon. What?
I sound pretty far on.
It's been a couple quiet nights though.
The sound came again, long and warped, almost like an animal call, but stretched in a way that felt deeply wrong. Some viewers later suggested it was probably just a fox, but neither Pete nor his wife seemed convinced. The tone, the pitch, and the way it shifted direction made it feel as if something was moving with intent through the darkness. They stayed outside a little longer, uncertain whether to retreat indoors or keep listening, and the encounter left them uneasy, wondering if they had heard something supernatural they were never meant to hear. Still shaken the next day, Pete and his wife decided to clear their minds by taking a daytime walk through the woods. The trail was peaceful, filled with birdsong and wind brushing through the tree. Iwer Sharon Naldre, Trin Orphan of Hishins Norinitin Tuoi Wadurins, choose whence I chew, until Pete suddenly stopped mid-step, raised his hand, and whispered that he'd just heard something nearby. His wife laughed it off until the camera picked it up too.
This is our idea of a date night. I'm just walking through the woods.
Very grateful.
I mean, I'm trying to record and walk at the same time. What?
You hear that?
No.
Listen.
Is that footsteps? Do you see anything?
No.
Soft, deliberate footsteps crunched through the leaves, just a few yards behind them. When they turned around, there was nothing there. No hikers, no animals, no movement at all. The sound continued for several seconds, unmistakable, as if someone unseen was walking just out of view with no logical explanation anywhere in frame. They stood in silence, realizing that whatever they'd heard the night before might not have stayed out in the fields. In the very next part of the clip, the mood shifts rapidly as they remain frozen on the trail, trying to comprehend who or what those invisible footsteps belong to. Suddenly, the same eerie siren-like noise from the previous night echoes through the forest.
It's gonna be harder to move through and keep quiet with all the leaves on the ground now.
I know. When it snows, it might be easier to walk around out here.
Yeah.
Can we go home?
It begins faint, deep between the trees, almost like a distant whale call, then rises just enough to prove it isn't the wind or any animal they recognize. As the sound stretches out again, both of them snap their heads toward where it came from, but all they see is dense forest. Panic creeps into Pete's voice as he tells his wife they need to leave immediately. The clip cuts out just as they turn and begin moving quickly back down the path. Pete later explained that once the recording stopped, they didn't risk staying any longer. They jogged the entire way home, convinced that whatever had followed them from the night before was still watching from the woods. In a follow-up, Pete said that despite the fear, part of them wanted to be sure the sound wasn't just an animal, and to know if something truly paranormal was out there.
What the fuck is this?
Ash, come here.
What? What is it?
Yeah, this is
Pete, look at this.
follow them? What does that mean?
I don't know, but we should really get out of here.
What?
You gotta get going.
As they ventured deeper into the trees later on, they came across something that stopped them both instantly. On the forest floor lay a strange formation of branches, not scattered randomly, but arranged deliberately around a wooden cross. Looking around in confusion, they noticed another structure a few feet away. This one wasn't a symbol at all, but words spelled out with eerie precision, as if someone or something had carefully placed them there. Before they could even process what it meant, the same haunting siren echoed again, louder now and unmistakably closer. Pete muttered under his breath while the camera shook, and Ashley spun around, searching for the source, but the woods remained unnervingly still. When the sound dragged out again, sharper and more aggressive, they didn't hesitate. They ran, sprinting toward home as fast as they could. According to Pete, they didn't stop until they were safely inside with the doors locked. Ashley later admitted the fear never left her, but her curiosity burned even stronger than Pete's. That same night, without telling him, she slipped back into the woods alone, with only her phone and a small flashlight. She said she needed to know if the siren was real or if the haunting had been imagined. The moment she stepped beneath the trees, the forest felt colder, heavier, as if it knew she was there by herself. As Ashley moved deeper into the darkness, the siren-like sound began again, drifting through the woods in those stretched, unnatural tones. She kept the flashlight pointed ahead, her breathing uneven as she slowly scanned from tree to tree. Then far in front of her, something moved. It was quick, just a flicker between the trunks, almost like a human-shaped silhouette sliding sideways before vanishing. Ashley stopped dead, whispering Pete's name even though he wasn't there, and the siren responded, louder now, as if reacting to her voice. When she spotted another flash of movement, this time glowing orange and much closer, clearly not an animal, she spun around and ran. She never looked back, sprinting through the forest as her flashlight beam bounced wildly ahead of her. Ashley later said she didn't slow down until the lights of her house came into view. After that night, she swore she would never step into those woods alone again, convinced something demonic or supernatural was still waiting in the dark. Davo has appeared on the channel before after purchasing a small doll from a street stall for just 20 Mexican pesos, roughly $1 US. Not long after bringing it home, unsettling things began to happen, and when he tried to return the doll, the stall had completely vanished. The situation escalated further when Davo attempted to use a Ouija board, hoping to communicate with whatever presence seemed to be lingering inside his house. Recently, on October 30th, Davo was sitting in the living room late at night with his cousins and nephews. That's when he suddenly heard someone screaming for help. Watch closely.
¿Fuiste tú? ¿No fuiste tú? Escuché como por la cocina. Se escuchó muy cerca. No fueron los vecinos, ¿ah?
When Davo later reviewed the security camera footage from inside his home, he noticed something standing outside his window, staring in. At first glance, it appears to be a disturbing pale face, pressed close to the glass. The image is unclear, but the shape is undeniably unsettling. Alarmed, Davo rushes outside to see what's there, unknowingly capturing something far more terrifying on camera.
Déjenme ver porque es que está muy oscuro. Fíjense la altura que se ve ya desde aquí, ¿no? Entonces, ay, me caigo. Ush, es que está muy oscuro aquí, no se ve muy bien. No se ve muy bien. Esa es la casa de mi hermana. Entonces, si se dan cuenta, voy bajando las escaleras, ¿no? Y se empieza a hacer todo más bajo, más abajo, más abajo. Este caminito que están viendo es más abajo. Es un sendero que es hacia abajo. Entonces, voy a pisar esta. Para los que digan que alguien se puso una escalera, o los que lleguen a decir que es una escalera, vean la altura. No podemos poner escaleras, para que vean. ¿Ok? Yo mido 1.75. Y eso de allá, o sea, están viendo, espero que se esté viendo bien, ¿eh? Pero es una altura considerable. Son más de 2,5 metros, ¿no? Entonces, para que no queden dudas de que... Y escaleras nosotros no tenemos, a menos de que digan, alguien se trepó por aquí así. Y no. Porque se asomó justamente de la parte de ahí. En esa parte fue de donde se asomó. Entonces, como que los arbustos y todo eso, pues no hacen mucho mucho el paro, ¿no? Entonces...
A dark shadow darts past at incredible speed. Moments later, an even more disturbing detail appears. A pair of eerie feet can be seen, as if someone or something is standing right beside him. Then, just as quickly, the presence seems to retreat and hide nearby once again. Davo later explained that the window sits more than 7 feet off the ground. Whatever reached it would have to be unnaturally tall. So what exactly has been following Davo and his family? Let me know what you think about this haunting and possible paranormal activity. A man was standing in his backyard when his attention was drawn to an odd movement deep within the forest behind his home. At first, it was so faint that he assumed it was just his imagination, a trick caused by shadows or tired eyes. But when the motion happened again, slow and deliberate, a sense of unease crept in. Instinctively, he reached for his phone and began recording, unsure if he was witnessing wildlife, a haunting presence, or something far more unsettling tied to paranormal activity.
Hi, it's me again. I'm just calling just to let you know. I've seen that thing again in the backyard. I've got the camera on. I'm trying to capture it. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to see if I can get it. Anyway, give me a call when you get this message. Bye.
No. What is that? No way. No. What the is that? No way. Yeah, it's me. I've just seen that thing. I've actually got it on camera. I'll show you when you get home. Give me a call as soon as you get this message.
After watching for a moment from the yard, fear pushed him to rush inside and sprint upstairs to get a clearer view through a second-floor window. As he zoomed in, his breathing changed, and his voice began to tremble as the image sharpened. Gliding along the tree line was something deeply unnatural. It wasn't solid, but it wasn't invisible either. The figure resembled a warped shimmer in the air, similar to heat distortion, yet it moved with clear intent. Its shape hinted at a human form walking, completely transparent, with trees clearly visible through it. The outline was impossible to ignore as it slipped silently between the trunks. It didn't act like an animal, a shadow, or a camera malfunction. The man paused in stunned silence before calling someone to report what he was seeing. Meanwhile, the ghostly form continued drifting until it disappeared into the denser forest. Whatever haunted those woods didn't seem afraid of being seen, but it was undeniably something beyond human understanding, something supernatural and deeply disturbing. Sabia had a home security camera running inside her house in the Netherlands, a normal setup aimed at a small table and several candles resting untouched against the far wall. For a long stretch of time, the footage appeared completely ordinary, with nothing unusual taking place. The only strange detail was the occasional appearance of faint glowing orbs drifting slowly across the frame, resembling dust particles catching light, subtle enough to dismiss at first glance. Then, without anything coming near it, one candle suddenly ignited. A brief spark flared into a steady flame, as if an invisible hand had just struck a match beside the wick. Nothing else in the room moved. There was no draft, no shifting shadows, and no one visible anywhere nearby. The flame remained perfectly still, burning calmly as though it had been intentionally lit. Sabia knew the candle had been cold for hours, yet the rest of the kitchen looked completely normal on camera. Still, the sudden light changed the atmosphere, making the space feel disturbed, like something unseen had briefly entered and left behind undeniable evidence of paranormal activity. A few nights later, Sabia reviewed another clip, this time from a different room. At first, everything appeared unchanged, furniture in its usual positions, with the timestamp confirming it was close to midnight. Once again, pale orbs drifted across the screen, floating through the air, just as they had before. Nothing seemed wrong until the corner of the room subtly shifted. A chair that had been neatly tucked into the corner slid forward on its own, gliding smoothly across the floor without anyone near it. Immediately afterward, clusters of glowing orbs passed through the frame, almost as if the movement had stirred something unseen. Moments later, a painting on the wall began to sway gently from side to side, as though nudged by an invisible force. The room stayed eerily silent. No lights flickered, no shadows appeared, just the chair out of place, and the painting slowly rocking before settling again. Witnessing this haunting scene unfold near midnight made the sitting room feel less like part of a normal home, and more like a space touched by something supernatural. Whether the activity continued remains unknown, because this is the last footage Sabia ever shared. A woman named Sarah from the UK was spending the night alone at a hotel located somewhere in the Lake District. While standing in the bathroom, filming her skincare routine and fixing her hair, she began noticing something unsettling. For several moments, an unusual sound lingered in the background, faint at first, then persistent. The noise carried an eerie quality that immediately made her uneasy, like something watching just beyond the walls. After a chilling whisper echoed from just outside her hotel room door, Sarah panicked. Concerned for her safety and convinced someone might be lurking in the hallway, she called the hotel staff for help. She explained that she was alone and frightened, asking them to come remove whoever was outside. Moments later, believing assistance had arrived, she made the mistake of opening the door herself.
Hello? Oh, no. Hello? Hello?
As the door opened, a strange, wet gurgling sound filled the hallway. Sarah looked around, but there was no one there. Then, while she was still standing in the doorway, something suddenly knocked on the door right in front of her. Later, Sarah explained that during her stay, other unexplained incidents kept occurring. Doors, sounds, and disturbances she couldn't explain, led her to believe the room was experiencing paranormal activity. She now believes the hotel room may be haunted by something unseen.
The person that I was working with, he says, I'm going to walk you to your room. He opens the door straight away for no reason whatsoever. He just says, I feel like we should change rooms. There's just something off about it. It didn't have a nice vibe. And I had one of those like sticky phone cases, like, you know, the ones that you put in the back. And I had my phone against the mirror and I heard this massive thud. Like the thud was so loud that it knocked my phone off of the mirror. Just thought maybe it's like somebody in the hallway with the door. Maybe they've like slammed something and that's what's called the vibration. Stick my phone back up. And I hear another loud bang and it actually physically makes me jump. And I think that is included in the video if you go back and watch it. Like I physically jump. And I'm like, what the hell is that? Because it sounded like somebody like had opened the door in my room. That's how loud it was. So I leave the bathroom and I go and look around the room and I can't see anything. And then I just decide randomly to open the cupboard. And I'd already hung up all my outfits for the next day. Every single outfit, like I had a blazer and had a dress, pair of jeans, whatever. They were all on the floor. This is the weird thing. The rail that holds the clothes, that was still up. So it wasn't like I'd hung something that was too heavy and the rail itself had fallen down. That was still perfectly in place. But these 3 hangers, they were all now on the floor. It sounds like somebody is trying to get into my room. So at this point, I'm thinking, okay, I don't think a member of staff would be doing that. So I call down again and they confirmed that no, they actually haven't even sent somebody up to check just yet. I start to pack up all of my stuff and whilst I'm doing that, I go into the main like bedroom area and I'm on the phone to one of my friends. Whilst I'm on the phone to her, the lights go off.
So is this particular hotel room truly haunted? Or is there another explanation behind what Sarah experienced? The answer remains unclear. Whether this was a case of a ghostly presence, supernatural activity, or something more unsettling, the truth is still unknown. I'll leave the final judgment up to you.